So sorry for how long this is. For a little backstory, I work midnights and my boyfriend works early mornings. On my days off, he will try to stay up super late with me for some quality time. We have our own places, but spend 90% of the time at mine. Most days, he will come over right after work, 3 p.m., wake me up, even though I just fell asleep at noon, and state it was because he wanted to have some quality time before I go back to work. Asterisk, asterisk. Remember that last sentence, because it is important information for later. The main problem is when he tries to stay up late with me, he loses on hours of sleep, and when he does not get his full 8 hours, he starts crying like an absolute baby in the morning. I mean full-on bawling to the point if I fell asleep early, 3 a.m. for me, he will wake me up with how loud he is crying and whining about being exhausted and tired. At first, I was very empathetic about him being tired, but 2 years later, I'm just annoyed at this point. I have tried giving him so much advice, all mainly pertaining to going to bed at an earlier set time. I have even laid in bed with him until he fell asleep, but he wakes so easily and asks me to come back to bed when I'm trying to leave. Like I said, I work midnights. It's really hard for me to go to bed at 9 p.m. He tells me I can just do it on my days off for him, but it messes up my sleep schedule. So this past Friday, I finally lost it on him. He was up late the night before again, wanting to watch a movie with me. I told him he should go to bed instead because it was already 9 p.m. He said he would be fine because he took a nap that day. Next morning, he was full-on bawling and crying in the bathroom again, and it woke me in my bedroom. I was fuming at this point. When he came out, I told him, "Sounds like that nap didn't work." Through his tears, he said, "You just need to quit your job and start working days so I don't have to lose sleep." I lost it. I started yelling that he can't blame me for his lack of sleep. I told him to go to bed. During my screaming, I reminded him how he doesn't even allow me to get 2 hours of sleep because of his quality time, and I never cry nor complain about it. He told me it's not fair, not the same, because I can function on little amounts of sleep. I ended the argument by telling him to suck it up and learn to be an adult. He texted me later on in the day that he was extremely hurt by my words, and how he ended up having the worst day of his life at work because I didn't comfort him and instead yelled at him while he was crying. I texted back, "When the boy cries wolf enough times, you learn to tune it out." So Reddit, am I the idiot for yelling at my crybaby of a boyfriend? Asterisk. Mind you, this 28-year-old man wants to have children here soon. Parents, please help this man understand that there is no such thing as 8 hours of sleep when you have kids. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I think you need to run this through a relationship sub, though. Honestly, shift work sucks. I know couples who have made it work, but they sacrifice a lot. If you want your relationship to go the mile, you'll both need to put in a lot of work or get on the same schedule. You seem to understand this, but he does not. And honestly, I don't mean to rag on your DBF for having tantrums when he's short on sleep, but yeah. I understand that everyone's sleep needs are different, and everyone wakes up differently. I like to have an hour or two to putter around before eating, showering, etc. For example, but his histrionics are the sign of something else in my non-professional opinion. It honestly wouldn't hurt for him to get a physical with his PCP and then get a sleep study. There may be more contributing to his waking issues than interrupted or shift sleep. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and do not have children with this man. Tell me you're not really considering it. He can't function. ETA. He's crying that loudly to make you feel bad about it. Even if he's miserably tired, there is no reason he has to cry loudly. 0. That's manipulative. He's hoping you break and change your schedule for him. It's also alarming that he's going to such an emotional extreme so often, in order to guilt you. Comment 3. For the love of the Lord, why are you dating a man subjecting you to that? I don't care how much I love someone, but if you purposefully and knowingly ruin my sleep repeatedly, we're done. For clarity's sake, that is something they do to break people into cults. Honestly, if you stay with him, this is now your fault because he doesn't listen and you won't just leave. Edit. Spelling. And not the idiot. Now, for the next story. So I'm conflicted here. I, 22-year-old female, have a part-time work-from-home job, and decided that the best option for a second job would be something that I had a decent amount of control over for the hours, location, and something that got me out of the house. So I went back to pet sitting, which I've done on and off since I was 12. Anyways, a couple weeks ago, I went to visit my parents. They live about 3 hours down the coast. Before I headed over, I took a job watching a sweet lab mix named Leia. Her owners, in their 50s, a male and female, were leaving for a vacation for 5 days, and they live about 15 minutes away from my parents. My duties were as follows. Take Leia out twice a day for a walk, feed Leia once at 5:30 p.m., give her a morning pill, keep her water clean and full, and make sure to replace her diapers with fresh ones and wash the dirty ones. It seemed like an easy job, and they were offering to pay quite well. I started to notice that when I'd replace her diapers, they were never wet and never smelled of urine. I replaced them each time I took her out, so 3 times a day, and they were always clean except for some shedding. I even started checking a bit more frequently, but the entire time I was there, she only wet her diaper once, and I think the bad weather was to blame. It stormed in the middle of the 3rd night. I thought it was strange given that she had incontinence issues. When Leia's owners returned, they paid me in cash and thanked me for caring for their dog. We small talked a bit about Leia and how our week has been, and I told them I was impressed she only wet herself once since she was incontinent. They both laughed, and the husband said Leia wasn't incontinent. Confused, I asked what the diaper was about, and he said they keep her in those because they stay out all day sometimes, or leave overnight, and don't want her using the bathroom on the flooring or the carpets. I asked why they didn't just get a friend or a neighbor to let her out, and they said it wasn't worth it if they were going to be gone less than 48 hours. They could just leave her in a clean diaper, with extra food and water, and her pill hidden in the food, and she'd be fine. This was incredibly upsetting to hear, and I told them that their dog is probably miserable when they do that. They didn't take that very well. Both of them yelled at me and insulted me and told me to get out, and that I had no idea what I was talking about. I left, but afterwards I received texts about how I was a terrible sitter and I should refund their money, plus pay them for the way I acted. I told my parents what happened as soon as I got back to their house, and while they agree with me that these people are mistreating their dog, they said it's none of my business and I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I'm still getting texted daily by these people, and I don't know how to feel. Was I an idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. These people are treating their dog terribly. The thing is, it is their dog, which is sad. Some people don't deserve animals, and these people certainly sound like one of those cases. It's neglect. However, most people don't want to hear that they're taking poor care of their animals. But with them getting as defensive as they did, I'm sure they knew that it wasn't right either. It sounds like they got used to the process over time to where it became a terrible and neglectful habit. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do except cut your losses and move forward. Hopefully one day they'll get tired of the dog and rehome it, so it actually has the opportunity to live a decent life in the future. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's absolutely your business, as you were given responsibility over this animal. What a miserable couple. I would report them to your local animal services. Animal cruelty shouldn't just be looked away from. It's everyone's business. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Veterinary technician here. You should 100% call animal control on them. That is not humane to the animal, and the poor thing is probably miserable. They shouldn't have a dog at all. Shame on them and keep that money. Now for the next story. I, female 17, have been friends with a guy who I'll call X, male 16, for about 4 years. We were good friends until he started to get flirty and inappropriate with me, which made me uncomfortable. I ignored him for a month or so, thinking that it would go away, but it didn't. I ended up having him stay over for the first time a month ago or something, and he refused to leave my room until I had to actually kick him out onto the couch around 3 a.m. because I was too scared to have him in my room. I didn't sleep that night. The next time he stayed over was more recent, and due to what happened this time, I don't want him back over at my house at all. He stayed over because my mother and father were working late, and his guardians were not able to pick him up. When I went to check if the couch was free at 2 a.m., it wasn't. 2 of my younger siblings were asleep on the couch, so I made a spot on the floor of my room for him using some of my extra blankets and told him to sleep there. I went to sleep on my bed after a couple more hours. It's a double bed, but I didn't want him sleeping in the same bed with me because I found the names he had been calling me like princesses really creepy. I did tell him the pet nickname made me uncomfortable before anyone asks. When I woke up, he had his face in my neck. I felt really uncomfortable and scared. I laid there for several minutes before elbowing him and leaving my room. I had to pretend that I was fine for the next 4 hours. Now that we have gotten a dog, she is an angel and is next to me as I type this out. He is asking if he could come over again. I don't want him over since I feel uncomfortable around him. I'm barely responding to him over text, and if I have to, it's short sentences. I'm not sure if I'm being an idiot or not with this. And at this point, I'm starting to think it's immature and stupid to even be typing this out. But I would like an outside view. I haven't even talked to my mother about this yet, and we're really close. I just don't want to bring it up. Am I being an idiot to him since I'm refusing to let him come over to my house at all, even if it is for an hour or longer? Comment 1. Not the idiot, but why are you continuing to allow this guy to stay over, or really even come over? Are you afraid of him, or that he will get violent if you tell him you can't be friends with him anymore because he's not respecting your boundaries? I suggest you tell your mom as soon as possible what is going on so she can back you up. My mom used to say, if you don't want to do something, just tell them my mom said I can't. And I totally used that. This could very easily escalate to assault, since he is already not listening to you. Be clear, say you are not interested, and stop spending time with him. He still may push it, but then you've been super straightforward. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and he's not your friend, not anymore. He will rape you if you keep letting him into your house. For whatever reason, he doesn't understand consent. That is not your problem. Keep him far, far away from you at all times. Never let him over, never be alone with him, and tell your mom. You don't owe him anything, not even friendship. What would have happened if you woke up a few minutes later than you did? The answer starts with the letter R. Comment 3. Not the idiot. He knows damn well you aren't interested, and he still thought it was okay to get into your bed with you when you told him no. Honestly, this guy is not your friend at all. He doesn't care about your boundaries or what you want. You deserve friends that respect you and make you feel safe. I would end this friendship if it were me. Now, for the next story. Posting for my 18-year-old female mom. So my family is pretty decent and well off. My mother, who is 48 years old, is a bureaucrat, and my father, who is 50 years old, is the CEO of a big firm. In question is my mother's younger brother, Sam, and his wife, Mila. My mother supported Sam with a monthly assistance due to his less-paying job and a larger family to support. At this point in the case, they have 4 kids. Sam worked in the clerical department of a local hospital, while Mila was a middle school teacher. So one fine day, my mom sat down with Mila for a coffee when she expressed her need for a big house and how their house looked more like a dingy hell. My parents, anyway, wanted to invest in a property, and the market was at a good price. The plan was that my mom would buy it in her name and lease it off to Sam and Mila rent-free, but they would pay for utilities and maintenance. We could afford it, so she was planning to buy a big one. Dad and Mom took them to see the house they had chosen. But my poor mother failed to understand Sam and Mila. They wanted a house, a gift. They wanted her to buy them a house, not support them with a house. My mom was super mad. At this point, all hell broke loose. For years, my mom was used like an ATM by Sam and Mila. She hated that they had so many kids they couldn't support, and a number of more irresponsible actions of theirs. Sam and Mila were of the old school, big family mindset. The children can starve to death, but we will keep producing. Mom still bought the house, and a year after the showdown, Sam contacted her and asked if he could take her up on the house, as they were really struggling. After 2 months of contemplation, my parents agreed. So, Mummy Dearest had one condition, that the house would be leased to Sam with his wife and 4 kids. If somehow the number of family members increased, they would be thrown out of the male's 6-bedroom mansion in a gated community. My mom repeated it multiple times to them in person as well. They agreed. We moved cross-country within 6 months after the lease signing. 2.5 years later, my parents moved back. Asterisk drumroll asterisk. Mom made a flying visit with gifts for the children, and she had 2 new nieces. According to the timeline, Mila must have been pregnant 3 months after the lease. My mom was livid. The eviction notice was issued. Later on, Mom got to know that Sam and Mila had gotten IVF for child 5, and the youngest was naturally conceived. About 7 years later, 2 months ago, Mom and Dad were planning my graduation party when Mom found out that Sam's oldest son has a small event planning business and hired him. After the party, she invited him and the second oldest child for a Sunday brunch. and they broached the topic. Mom, my intention was anything but good and helpful for the entire time. Your parents had a choice, to have more kids that they couldn't afford or be homeless. I am not at fault. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.